Welcome to Hochoka Podcast.
Our seventh graders head out on their annual visit to sites sacred to their culture this week. During the school's 2022 seventh grade cultural trip, as the boys group reached the summit of Mato Paha, what had been a pleasant ascent became shrouded in fog, and they could not see 10 feet in front of them. They were pelted with sleet and snow. What can servant of God Nicholas Black Elk teach us about this event? Hello, Medaki Apin. Welcome to Hochoka, here at the center of St. Joseph's Indian School's campus. I'm Scott Wooster, your Hochoka host. We're glad you've joined our circle with frequent guest Dr. Damian Costello, who joins us again today with another fresh perspective on Christianity through an indigenous lens. Welcome, Damian.
Thank you, Scott. Great to be back.
Good to have you here. So, when our kids go on their journey, their cultural trip, they meet a man out in the Black Hills who takes them to the center of the Black Hills to the bald spot, and this is what it's called in English, and his name is Ben Rod, and he works for the Rosebud Tribal Historic Preservation Office. And he explained to the boys when they were out there, he said that the cloud that came to envelop you when you were at the top of Bear Butte was a blessing by Wakantika. And he said that the old one said that when a cloud surrounds the top of a mountain and comes and covers you as you ascend, as you're going up the mountain, it's a cleansing for you and for the day as the spirits are praying within and preparing you to speak your own prayer. The sleet wants to help everyone understand that there are travails in life, and sometimes it's not going to be easy, and sometimes there's going to be adversity. And I remember when the boys came back from that trip and how awestruck all of the boys were and all of the adults were that moment had happened up on the mountain, and that Ben was able to make that connection with the boys. Did Black Elk have an experience that was similar to that?
He had numerous experiences like that of relatives coming to visit him through what we would just call weather. Mm-hmm. And I think the two most important ones were what was captured at the end of Black Elk Speaks when he went up to what is now Black Elk Peak, mm-hmm. and prayed at the end of that book in 1930. And then a little lesser known, but I think just as important, is his funeral in 1950. So in 1930, it's summer. This is the Great Depression. It's the Dust Bowl. This is like the worst drought that the old people had ever seen before, mm-hmm. right? And so it's a beautiful sunny day. And Black Elk had said, after recounting his vision, his sacred vision, that he hadn't told anyone really, and especially not an outsider, that he wanted to go back to where his vision ended, which was the top of the world, which is now Black Elk Peak. Mm-hmm. And so they journeyed up there, and beforehand he told his son that if I have any power left, there'll be a little bit of rain. And so they got to the top, and Black Elk prepared. He in his vision he was painted red. He put on like some red flannel long johns, got his regalia on, and then he prayed. And sort of out of nowhere, this small cloud formed above him, mm-hmm. and there was a little bit of rain that fell on him as he was crying.
Black Elk biographer John Neihart writes, and I'm going to quote this, quote, "For some minutes, the old man stood silent, with face uplifted, weeping in the drizzling rain. In a little while, the sky was clear again. Neihart was both astounded that his prediction had come true, of course, but he also misunderstood Black Elk too, is my understanding. He thought the tears were out of sadness. Can you tell us what they were really all about?"
Well, so you're right. He thought this was more of an expression of sadness over all the tragedy that he had experienced and that his people were undergoing. Mm-hmm. And certainly there's an aspect of that. But in the Lakota context, tears are your most sincere, your deepest, your strongest prayers, mm-hmm. right? And so you you intentionally cultivated tears. And the Black Elk even talks about a couple times, maybe just once, in Black Elk Speaks, that he got tired of trying to make himself cry for one different sort of ceremonial event. But this was very important to do. And so his tears there were not a reflection of all is ended and I'm an old man, I haven't done anything, but it was a way to offer up his deepest prayer to the spirits around him. And he was making this prayer that the people may live. He was asking that the sacred tree bloom in his vision.
And is it your understanding, too, that the tears that he was shedding were a reflection of the rain that was coming down, too, maybe the spirits raining? I know we can't understand totally, but...
We can't know for sure, but that's exactly where I go with that.
Yeah.
That, there's this reciprocity here, that Black Elk is crying his tears, and in response, creation, in sort of a very, you would say improbable way, in a cloudless day, is offering its tears back to Black Elk, joining in with him. And so we often think of either weather as just, something physical that there's no intentionality behind it, or we think of the weather acting on us, like if it's a spiritual power, okay, maybe it's doing something, but they're acting in tandem. I think their prayer is joining together at that moment.
I love that, and it speaks to that whole our relatives kind of piece of that whole thing too. So it's obviously a powerful moment at the top of Black Elk Peak, which of course is named after him at this point too. But you mentioned that his funeral was another spiritual event that had some similarity to
similarities that. and also sort of the exact reverse.
Okay.
And so this is summer again. This is August 19th, 1950.
Okay.
A time of heat. Generally doesn't rain very much around here at that time, and it was pouring rain. And when we were working on the documentary for Black Elk that the Diocese of Rapid City put out, we talked with Arthur Amiot, who's a very famous Lakota artist and was a Sundance intercessor as well earlier in his life. And he was an altar boy at this Mass, and he remembered it. And so he talked about how the rain was just coming down, and you had to go across the road and up the hill in order to get to the cemetery. And he said that gumbo was so thick, was getting on everyone's shoes, and it was hard to get up the hill. I mean, you're from around here, so you know gumbo is that thick mud, right? That
can't do anything with it. Yep.
Yeah. So they got up the hill. It's pouring rain, and they got to the point. They had said that all their prayers that they were going to lower Black Elk into the grave, and at that point, a small opening opened up in the sky just above them, and the sun shone down on Black Elk. And they said the last prayers, and they're offering the incense, and they lower him into the grave, and when it was finished, it closed back up. And so the way he told the story was that he was just amazed by this. Like, this was like a miracle to him. And on the way home, he talked to his grandparents and his aunts and the elders, and he said, no, that's what happens. That's how they show us that everything's okay, that they've gone home. But in terms of the relationship to the prayer on Black Elk Peak, there we had the cloudless sky, we had the crying, and then a little bit of rain. It's almost an intensification of it, you might say, where all of creation is praying, is crying for this great holy person as he's making his journey. But I think joining in his great prayer, his prayer that the people may live.
I'm struck by what an amazing thing that must have been for even for you to be able to talk to Arthur Amiot, right, and to be able to have someone who was alive and was very present there in 1950 at an event like that. And I think about this all the time. I don't know. I've worked here for 31 years, and I'm always struck. Trained to look for those kinds of things in nature, where that eagle, was there for a reason, or the sky opened up, or all those things. It's just part of who I am now, and I don't know if that's true for everybody or some people or how that works, but it kind of speaks to that connection that I think you find through these ways. And there's a part of this that's sort of a prayer to creation, if that makes sense to you. And would you talk a little more about that?
So praying for and with creation and being open to the messages that creation brings I think is a lot of people have an understanding that's part of Lakota tradition. And that's really one of the central parts of ceremony in Lakota ways. Black Elk talked about this in the sacred pipe, that when you add tobacco, you're praying, you're bringing it into the pipe, and then you offer it and you smoke it, you're praying with all of creation. All of the powers of the universe are in that pipe and praying with you as you pray. And of course, you take that into the sweat lodge, you take that, your vision quest, into the Sundance, and you continue that prayer with creation. And that's also true in the Catholic context, though it's not as explicit sometimes, or it's not as well known, but someone like Pope Benedict the 16th talked about, when you pray in the Mass, you're not just praying for yourself, you're not just praying for the community, and you're not just praying for creation. You join in with the prayers of creation when you pray in the Mass. And that harkens back to the whole biblical tradition. We don't always see it because we're not attuned to it. But in the Bible, creation is praising God, is praying to God.
Yeah.
And we participate that when we are our best selves.
Yeah. For sure. And you said when you pick up the pipe, you pray to all creation, and literally the pipe song, or the Chinoopa song, prays to the directions, each of the 4 directions: above, below, within. We've spent a good amount of the last few years that we've known each other trying to parse out these pieces that aren't just found in this in the Lakota spirituality or Nakota spirituality, but we've been trying to parse those out. And like you said, if you know where to look for it, and that's sort of, I think, part of the job part of this. Well, that's the study that you undertake, is to parse those things out.
Well, and I think the calling that Black Elk has given me, or I should say, the little bit that I feel I've been called to add to Black Elk, is to take the life that he led. And the wisdom that he had, and to just shine that a little bit more on where I come from, my tradition, the Catholic tradition, and to bring that out. Yeah. Because I think he had that.
He was doing it.
He was doing it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a continuation of something that was done and not necessarily lost, but needs to be continued, certainly, and needs to be learned and then taught. Yeah. In the case of Black Elk, and I think it's fascinating, everything that I've heard from you and just in things that I've studied, but you talked about the weather acting on somebody. It wasn't simply the weather acting on him. There was some kind of a synchronicity there that you and I both believe in, and we both see that. What do you make of that?
It puts me in a place of mystery, right? I think in a Western context, we're always told, go for the answer, find the information. What can you reduce it to? And with people like Black Elk, or the elders that you've walked with, and that have taught us, you recognize that answers are actually much broader and deeper than anything you can say. And I think, particularly in the case of Black Elk, in these moments, like when he finished talking about all the struggle he went through and the vision he had, and the unfinished nature of that these moments bring out that sort of ultimate harmony that was there in the beginning and that is still there, that we're all yearning for. And it gives us these glimpses of, we can keep going. We can, it's there, even though we don't have that key to unlock it definitively right now in all ways. Right.
So much of what you just said means a lot to me. We talk about the great mystery of everything, and I've heard people even say Wakantika, it sort of in its own way translates to the great mystery, or the not knowing of things. And as somebody who's been on the hill and been in a place to pray, surrounded, with all of creation, there were no definitive answers that were given through that, but there were questions raised. The mystery continued to reveal itself in that way, but there was no black and white. and I assume that there was no black and white in that way for black elk back in the day too. So it's kind of been a theme that sort of popped up that I don't know if either of us intended it in this particular podcast, but that thread that runs through everything where we're still trying to unpack that thing, everything that he was trying to unpack. And he was trying to unpack his ancestors, what they were trying to study too, and trying to sort out. And I don't know where you get there, but I know that we continue that journey, and that's a big part of it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think, once again, Black Elk is the model. Like his whole life, he continually wrestled with his vision, his calling, and the simultaneous uncertainty. Am I doing what I need to be doing? Am I living up to this? Am I following it? All these different unexpected and wildly different turns that my life has taken. But shows that getting comfortable with and then becoming the very mystery that's at the center of everything is really what our call is.
Yep.
And I don't know what that looks like for you or for me, but it's a constant opening up.
Yes. Yeah.
And commitment to that uncertainty.
Yeah, a commitment to the opening. And I was thinking that exactly as you were saying that. And you take a guy who's committed to all of that learning, committed to nature, committed to his culture, and committed to the Catholic faith, as Black Elk was. You said it all. We will just continue to be open to our conversations about everything there is and to this piece of spirituality that we get to talk about here. So thank you once again, Damien, for being a part of that.
Thank you, Scott. It's a great note to end on.
Absolutely. And we thank our viewers here who have joined us at Hochoka here at the center of St. Joseph's Indian Schools campus, where we talk about issues that are central to Native American education today. Until next time, stay centered.